inspired by your first segment of Let's Talk, I was thinking, I was like, this brother's getting something heavy off his mental, and I would love an avenue to or a segue to do the same thing. And I was thinking, I was like, Ace, what would be something that you can get off the chest? You know what I mean? And I came up with something that's always been sitting in my subconscious, in the back of my mind, is regret. Growing up, you're raised to, we're always told to never have any regrets. But I always disagree with that. Because I had regrets. I regretted the way I, treated my grandmother, the mother that raised me. I feel like I was inappreciative. She's passed on. There's nothing I could do about that. You can't erase your past and you can't fix it. But I have two regrets that weigh heavy on me. And they're in the form of my two sons. I have an oldest son in Texas that I've only seen once. And I have a younger son in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, that I've only seen once. And of course, I'm based out of California. So these states that I would visit, these states that I would go do my thing in, hustle, whatever, and as far as my oldest son is concerned, I was playing college football in Texas and I ended up having a child. Didn't know until after I left. And then I was out there getting my money out there in Kentucky, ended up having a child. But that's not my regrets. My regrets aren't, don't get it confused or twisted. My regrets aren't having my sons. My regrets come from what took place afterwards. And that is the fact that I did not do enough to stay in touch with my sons. I didn't do enough to say, okay, I'm based in California, but we have lines of communication. It's the millennium and beyond. You have email, you have many social media platforms. You have, of course, the phone. I didn't do enough of that. I got caught up in this, I'm struggling out here in California, but that doesn't stop phone calls or text messages or emails, So that's what I regret. I regret not doing enough to stay in contact with my two sons. My oldest son, sad to say, his mom passed away right when I got back in touch with her. I mean, I believe I got in touch with her in October 2009, and she passed away 2010, January. Blood clot in her leg that they didn't detect. And I went to the funeral, and that was my first time seeing my son, and he was 9 at that time. And that was the last time I seen my son. Yeah, he's 20 years old now, and basically doesn't want nothing to do with me. So I reached out to his step-grandfather. I reached out to his grandmother, his biological grandmother, on social media, and they haven't even responded. That's my oldest son. Now, my youngest son in Kentucky, from what I understand, he hates me, which he's kind of young to understand hate. It's been I think that's been instilled in him by his mother, but now he wants to change his last name, and he's 10 years old. Wanting to change his last name. And all I could think about is how much I hated my father at 10 years old. And I'm continuing the cycle, repeating the cycle, and it's like they say, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. But I was determined in my life coming up as a youngster to not be anything like my father. And I turned out to be just like my father. It's crazy. I spent no time with him. After 1979, I seen him one time in 2003 when my oldest daughter was born. So I turned out to be just like this dude, catering to my daughters, because they're California based, and ultimately saying, sons, y'all figure it out. And that's regret to me. That's my regret, because now the influences on them come from outside of me. Their morals, their integrity, their ethics, they come from outside of me. They're external. And there's nothing I can do about that. And that's a regret, So, when we move forward in life, we have to think about stuff like, well, before we do it, will we regret this? And again, I must repeat myself, never regret having your children, because to me, they're here for God's purpose, not for anything else but God's purpose or the Creator's purpose, whatever you believe in. But it's how you react to having a child. Stay in communication. If you live in a different state, a different country, on the other side of the world, they have technology now to where you can contact them. You know what I mean? Reach out, because their lives should not. I don't think it's meant to be dysfunction from the beginning. So yeah, man, like I said, I appreciate you inspiring me. Regret is something that's real, and it's burdensome, and if my two sons never want anything to do with me, then so be it. But I'm never gonna stop trying, because I forgave my father a long time ago. Are we close? No. Do I have the utmost respect for him? No. And I doubt that my sons will ever have the utmost respect for me. All we can do from here on out is to move forward. And if they choose to move forward, I would love it. But if they don't, I definitely would understand. So that's it, man. It's just a regret.